Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are here with another episode of Squid Game, episode 2. That first episode was an eye-opener. You know, it's one of those rare instances where you get a main character that is bordering on despicable, but he's a character that you're told that you should root for, or at least earlier on. You know, we followed our protagonist so far, Sun Gi Hyun. And I'll try to get better pronouncing the names as we go on. Yeah, and you know, the first thing that we see him do is try to con his mother into giving him more money, and then he steals her card, goes to the ATM and steals more money from her. So he's a pretty hard character to root for at this point. Although I will say, a lot of, especially within this genre, but a lot of dramas that come out of Korea more often than not touch on, you know, economic divide and social status and stuff like that. So I do imagine that we will get some backstory into not only Son Gi-hyun but also a lot of the players within the Squid Game, as to how they came into that predicament to begin with. How did they get into debt? And while I will say that, you know, at times it's painting the character, especially the main character, since he's the only one we've seen so far or focused on. It paints him as someone who's down on his luck, but I hate using that term because down on your luck suggests that you did not actively do something to put yourself in that position. And as we've seen, he's a gambler. He's an addicted gambler. So he's clearly made a lot of decisions that have led him to this point, and I dare say his mother, to some extent, has enabled him by encouraging and or not being a bit more stern with his behavior, you know. But again, I will say, you know, we don't know the full story. So if something is revealed that perhaps, you know, there were some extenuating circumstances out of his control that forced him to actually start gambling in the first place. You know, maybe he did it to help his mom, and then it just snowballed from there. You know, something like that would be very interesting. So again, very similar to Alice in Borderland. I hate to keep comparing the two, but that's not a bad thing. You know, yeah, Alice in Borderland was actually really good. So if this manages to take some of the same story beats, then that would be phenomenal. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. So yeah, I imagine we will be learning a bit more about other characters in the game. The girl that he bumped into that stole the money from him. You know, the old man that I am convinced has played this game before. He's having way too much fun, right? So I'm curious to know. I think he said he had a brain tumor and he's going to die. I don't know if I believe him because, as I've said, do not trust anyone, especially not the first person that you interact with when when you're playing these games. If this genre has taught me anything, do not trust the first person you encounter. But yeah, I'm curious to learn more about him and all the other characters that we will be encountering. So let's check it out. Okay, what's happening here? Are these the bodies of the people that died? Or are they why are they wrapped in why are they wrapped like gifts? Oh no, they're alive. Ah, but they lost the game. Yeah. Contestants who lost the game. Yeah, he did. Or is he playing the long game and knowing that you owe me? You know? I'm suspicious of everyone, okay? Everyone's on
첫
guard
번째
now.
게임을 통과한 참가자 여러분, 진심으로
Yeah, is no one gonna ask if they can leave now? Knowing that there's a chance you will die? They didn't mention any of this at the beginning. Oh, I'm actually impressed. That's more than I thought it would be. It felt like there were a lot less. Come on, is no one going to ask? I want to get out of here.
제가 잘못했어요. 돈 꼭 갚을게요. 꼭 갚을게요.
Yeah. Someone. What now?
어떻게든 갚을게요.
I know they're not gonna let them leave.
어떻게든 하고 싶어요.
They clearly know too much at this point. Yeah, we're helping you to an early grave. What's gonna happen? I know they're not letting them leave here.
동의서 제1항 참가자는 게임을 임의로 중단할
Yeah, they didn't read the contract. No one read that?
참가자 과반수가 동의를 하면 게임은 중단된다.
Oh,
맞습니까?
smart. But to get everyone to agree, there are clearly some greedy people here.
맞습니다.
Yeah, that's clever.
투표하겠습니다.
That guy, that mobster guy that the girl was working for, I'm sure he's not leaving.
상금을 공개하겠습니다.
Yeah, once they see the money from the first game. Money. How it makes sheep of us all. Question they should be asking themselves is, even if you do win, what guarantee is it that these men will actually keep their word and pay you?
55개 상금이 돼지 점통에 적립되었습니다.
Yeah, I'd prefer to do that. Come on, lady. You were just saying. Oh, come on. Yeah. Oh, God. You know what? I don't know. I want to say maybe as more persons get eliminated, they'll have more votes. But the truth is, the closer you get to the goal, the less likely you will want to actually withdraw. And if there's like 2 guys left, and one of them feels as though he can win, he's not going to want to leave. So it's impossible at this point. There's too much greed in the room. Come on. Do this one thing right. Vote to go. The first person is integral to this. No one's going to want to be the one who chooses to leave. Well, secondly, thank you. I mean, it's close. I'm glad that it's close. Oh. You were just trying to get out of this. You brought up the clause in the contract. He might be the character that I like. I don't know, but we'll see. But he's playing it pretty smart so far.
해야지 그럼. 나가면 뭐가 달라? 어차피 나가도 쎄.
Wasn't she just saying she could die and leave her daughter? Oh.
이제 마지막 투표자입니다. 1번.
Oh, the old man. Of course he's gonna stay. But I'm not sure if the subtitles are off or if I'm mistaken, but I'm sure he said everyone has to vote to leave. I don't trust this old man.
게임의 진행을 원하시면 동그라미.
I know he's gonna vote to stay because I'm suspicious of him. And his potentially BS story. He was having way too much fun on the field. But again, I'm confused by the subtitles. It's the majority. Maybe I'm mistaken then. I'll go back and check. But you said eliminated. Does that mean kill everyone?
여러분의 다수가 게임의 재개를 원하시면 언제든 게임을 다시 시작하겠습니다.
The word eliminated has an entirely new meaning. So, oh, okay. I sent him back home. Interesting.
사람 살려요. 아무도 없어요. 여기 사람 있어.
Oh, it's the same girl.
여기 어디?
Should have let her untie you first. Have you learned nothing?
나좀 빨리 풀어줘. 어? 야.
Yeah, she's leaving you there.
야, 너 뭐 하는 거야? 나 풀어주고 가야지.
내가 왜?
아, 내가 너 풀어줬으니까.
So why would she help you? Hey, nah. You're not gonna let that go. At least untie, remove the bonds on your legs first. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, so we know this isn't over, so at some point I gather they're gonna go back to the game. Damn. The warrant out for his arrest. He seems like he's a good guy.
사발면값도 없는데 집에 갈 돈 있냐고요. 돈.
돈 없어요. 걸어가요.
여기서 안산까지 걸어서?
I wonder if this is why he ended up in debt. You know, trying to help everyone.
기다렸다가 버스 타고 가요.
안 돼요.
I like him. What? Damn it! What was his name again? He's the opposite of Sun Gyun.
그러니까 이상한 사람들이
Yeah, no one's gonna believe this
모르는
story.
사람들 수백 명을 운동장에 모아놓고 게임을 하라고 하고 총으로 막 쏴주겠다 그거죠.
Why would you even do this? No one's gonna believe that. And no one's gonna be interested in finding out about the missing persons because these are people who are in debt. They'll just think they ran off.
이게 게임을 하면은 돈을 준다고 해서
돈이요?
Sounds pretty unbelievable when you say it like that. He thinks he's crazy.
이게 그놈들이 준 명함이니까 여기로 전화해 보면 될 거 아니야.
Come on. If the guys are that careful in not revealing their identity, this is obviously not going to lead to anything.
죄송한데요. 혹시 게임 같은 거 할 수 있습니까?
I mean, at least the cop is trying to buy into it.
게임을 하고 싶으면 혼자 PC방에 가. 이 변태 새끼야.
He gave it a try, you know, to be fair to the cop. For such an outrageous story, I wouldn't be surprised if he got the right person because they're likely monitoring him. Okay, interesting. Type we have a cop that may be familiar with this story or at least heard it before. Oh, Sangwoo. Okay.
여기서 뭐 하냐? 엄마한테 가서 다
I don't think
말씀드리고
you get that
시작해.
chance.
다시 벌어. 60억을?
60억?
He owes that much? I want to know more about his
개인 파산
story.
신청 같은 거
그런 거 하면 안 되나? 그거 하면 돈 안 갚아도 된다고 하는 것 같던데.
내 거 말고 어머니 거까지 다 들어갔어. 집이랑
Wow.
엄마 가게까지 다.
His mom's in the hospital.
당뇨입니다.
I was worried about that.
올해 방치해서 합병증까지 왔어요. 이 정도면 통증이 심했을 텐데 모르셨어요.
Wait, she's not dead, is she? Oh, okay. Jesus. Just have her lying on the cold bed unconscious like that. So I'm like, she's been pushing herself because of you.
아, 엄마 어디가? 입원하라잖아.
하게 하나. 내가 야 이래 누워 있으면 월세는 누가 낼 기가? 그거고 너 하루 종일 입원한 갚하고.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about earlier. She can't afford to not be out working, and she can't afford to be out working.
그거 벌써 해제해가 다 써버렸잖아.
Comes back to him. Why would he take her away her insurance? Yeah, I wonder if this cop has some involvement with one of the players from the game.
고시원비 내는 날짜가 일주일 전이었거든요.
Box has the same design, same bow that was placed on the coffins.
취객이에요?
그냥 미친놈이야. 오늘따라 아주 정신없어 죽겠어 아주.
Alright, we're getting the backstories that I thought we would. I just thought we would get them in the game in the form of flashbacks.
너 계속 그렇게 말 안 하면 누나 그냥 간다.
See where? Okay. I thought she was actually his mom.
나 여기서 못 간대. 누나가 나 여기다 버린 거래.
Oh, looks like he's in some sort of foster home.
아니다. 네, 우리 다 같이 모여서 한 집에서 살게 될 거다.
How do you plan on making that happen?
알지? 누나 약속하면 꼭 지키는 거.
I thought we'd have gotten this backstory through flashbacks, you know, during the game itself, not them being released and everything. So how did they get back into the actual game? I know they're going to.
알리. 왜 전화 안 받아요? 전화했어? 몰랐네. 왜? 무슨 일 있어? 사장님, 밀린 월급 주세요.
This one's got an employer refusing to pay him. Broke my ass. You're not broke. Well, he's actually playing.
다음 얘기하자. 내가 좀 바쁘다.
Don't get yourself in trouble, Ali. I know it's tough. Not good. Damn it! Damn it. It's terrible. They're gonna blame that he's gonna blame it all on Ali now, and they're gonna overlook him not paying his wages and probably put on a warrant for his arrest. It sounds like he has a good relationship with his mom, at least compared to Seung-gyun. But why would he use her house as collateral for something like that? I mean, he seems to be a pretty decent guy and that he's trying to do the right thing. I don't know if this is something that came to him after losing everything. It's pretty terrible. I was wondering whether everyone else knew the truth and she didn't know. She's about to find out. Damn it.
조상우 씨께서 횡령과 사문서 위조,
야,
특정 경제범죄 가중처벌법 위반 혐의로 체포영장이 발부됐습니다.
Why is that lady still there? Okay, move on. Leave. Looks like he's gonna want to get back into the game as well. But even if he does, and this is where I'm a bit confused. I mean, even if he does win the money, even if Ali, for example, gets the money, they all have warrants out for their arrests. The money does not solve that, you know. So, and Sang-woo himself is charged with forgery and other fraudulent crimes. So I don't think any amount of money would solve that problem. At best, all they'd be able to do is just to ensure that their families are taken care of before they go to prison.
सारा सामान बांध के आज ही यहाँ से निकलना होगा, समझी? उम्मीद है तुम मेरी इस परेशानी को समझ पा रही होगी। मैं तुमसे बहुत
The old man?
영감님.
Oh, what do you know?
맞지?
What are you doing here? Is the question. He's never met him before in all his time living there. I don't trust this old man.
잠깐 앉으시겠어요? 영감님을 여기서 납했네요.
Very slim. Very slim. You're a gambling man. Come on. Something suspicious about this old man.
없어서 어떡하죠?
잠깐.
Is it okay to eat that raw?
다시 가기로 했어.
어딜요?
He's already got his card.
어차피 얼마 못 살 텐데 이렇게 죽을 날만 기다리다가 가고 싶지 않아.
So why is he doing it if he's already going to die? Or is this old man here to convince him to go back to the game? I'm suspicious of this old man.
더 지옥이야.
Oh, that mobster that a girl worked for. Oh, he got another invite. But Sung Gi-hoon hasn't gotten one. Interesting. And I'm curious to know why his friend hasn't got one either, who's maybe not as bad in debt, but he's in debt pretty much. I mean, I guess maybe he didn't know he was taken to an island. So it's not as easy as just killing the driver and getting the money. Ah, he sold him out.
돈 대신에 콩팥 눈깔로 받아간다고 지금 여기까지 왔잖아.
Uh-oh. You're dead, man. He's still in the car. What are you doing? He could just kill you. Talking shit while he's still there. Didn't even get to collect your money. Oh. There's too many guys, man. Better off running. Oh. I mean, they traveled all the way there. I don't know how much it cost them to come all the way to Korea, but it probably wasn't cheap. How much money could he have owed them? Ah, the wife. Tell me he's here to ask her for money.
나한테 위자료를 줬어? 아니면 애들 양육비를 한번 준 적 있어? 그리고 어떻게 나한테 또 손을 벌려?
And I still don't trust him because I don't trust what he'll do with the money. He's going to gamble it.
어디까지 왔겠니? 내가 꼭 갚을게.
그럴 돈 없어. 나도 애들 아빠한테 생활비 타줬어.
아, 그럼 그 사람한테 좀
미쳤어? 가. 애들 아빠 올 시간 됐어. 가.
야.
I can't even.
근데 그 인간이 애들 아빠야?
너
I can't even blame her for
너 그럴
this.
자격 있다고 생각해?
He wasn't there?
나 혼자 기다시피 해서
와우.
병원 가서 좀만 더 늦었으면 가영이 죽을 뻔했어.
그놈은 그냥 죽었어. 내 눈앞에서 병원에도 못 가고 죽었다고.
좋았네.
아빠.
요 앞에 지나다가
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm with the mom on this one. Just leave.
가영이 봤으니까.
Just leave. Don't make a scene. Feel bad for his daughter. Oh, okay. Wow. That's generous. Don't let your pride get in the way, and I hope you use the money to help your mom.
안 갚으셔도 됩니다. 대신 우리 가족 앞에 다시는 안 나타나 주셨으면 합니다.
Uh-oh. He wants him to
무슨 나쁜
stay out of their lives.
새끼가 돈이면 다 되는 줄 알아.
I mean, you've been doing that same thing, trying to use money to solve everything. Not a good look. He shouldn't have said that to him, though. You know, trying to buy his daughter
성규 씨,
essentially from him.
네.
도봉서 황준호입니다. 얼마 전에 신고하러 지구대 오셨어요.
I guess maybe it didn't even occur to me, but maybe his
아,
dad
그거 제가 그냥
died.
지어낸
Was one of the
얘기예요.
contestants who died.
술 먹고 심심해서 그냥 지어낸 거예요.
성규 씨가 가지고 있던 명함, 저희 형도 가지고 있었어요.
죄송한데요. 제가 지금 누굴 도울 수 있는 처지가 아닙니다.
There's a card waiting for him. Yep. I was wondering if maybe, you know, he'll go undercover or something for the police going into the game. But he still does need the money, so I doubt he would. And they're back. I don't know how many of the 200 returned. But it seems these 5 are going to be our focal characters. We're back. I guess hell wasn't really a name of a game, it's just the life that they return to. I still don't see how money's gonna solve half their problems. Nighty night. Wondering if the cop didn't follow him though. Yeah, he must have followed him, right? Sure wouldn't have given up that easily. That adds an additional element, you know, of unpredictability to the whole thing. How is he driving with that thing on? Oh, smart girl. Alright, episode 2 of Squid Game, Hell, which as it turns out is not a children's game. It's actually the world in which they return to, you know, living hell. the very lives that we ourselves are living. um, yeah, things in the world that was pretty unpredictable at the end there. I thought they were going to go the route of Alice in Borderland, where they had flashbacks showing how the characters came to actually be here, but instead they released all the players after a vote. Apparently there was a clause in the contract, several clauses, one of which said you cannot leave once the game has started. I would not have participated having seen that. And I'm sure some of them read it. Some of them probably didn't, but I'm sure Song Gyun read it because he was going through one by one and he still signed. But, interestingly, I went back to check the subtitles, and what it said was if all the players agree to leave, then the games are terminated. But what proceeded to happen was a majority vote, which kind of threw me off. I'm not sure if it's the subtitles or it's a mistranslation. I don't have English dubbed on this particular video to check. I'll have to check afterwards to see if maybe something different was said. But from what I've heard, the dub is not particularly good. But the subtitles appear to be slightly off in terms of translation. Yeah, but seeing as everyone left, I'm assuming that the correct thing was if the majority of the players agree to leave, then the games are terminated. Not all, but the subtitle said all, so something was off there. Yeah, but the players voted to go. I think for the most part, those who I expected to vote to leave did vote to leave, and those who I expected to vote to stay voted to stay. They went back to their lives, and it was shit. Their lives, it was shit. But I will say what's become one of my favorite characters is probably Sang-woo. And he's different from Song Gyun in that he appears to, and again, I don't know if this is something that happens after he lost everything, but he appears to be trying to, from what we've seen of him so far, he tries to do the right thing and ends up overreaching, and it costs him. That may be an oversimplification of his character, but just judging from what we have seen so far. So I do wonder whether he had noble intentions in whatever fraudulent cases there were. Maybe the companies were doing some shady stuff and he tried to screw them over, and kind of a Robin Hood thing, and he got caught. But we'll see. I imagine we will learn a bit more as time as things go on. But he did put up his mom's house and her shop as collateral, which is just not the right thing to do. This appears to be the tale of how to be terrible kids to your parents. Between him and Song Gyun, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. But we introduced to Ali as well. But Sang-woo is so far pretty up there in terms of my favorite character so far. Flawed, but he's trying to do the right thing. Song Gyun is another case entirely. We met Ali, who saved Song Gyun in the last game, and his situation, his employer refusing to pay his salary, and that's just I'm sure a lot of people can actually relate to that one because it's not so unusual. But in all of cases, and I don't know if perhaps he's an immigrant, and maybe that is one of the reasons why his employer gets away with that, because that does happen quite frequently. Because if you're an immigrant, or most notably if you're an illegal immigrant, or something to that effect, then they'll hold that over your head and refuse to pay you the wages, and and say, okay, I'll pay you when I can. I'll pay you when I can, and that is something that does happen. So I do wonder whether that is the case here. He does say to his wife to take the child and return home. So I do get the impression that perhaps he is an immigrant here. I don't know if he's a legal or illegal immigrant or not, but it doesn't matter in this instance. With the employer withholding his salary for work that he has actually done, he should pay him, but he made matters worse for himself there. I don't know, when he gets to a certain point where he does feel powerless. I know he just gave in and tried to take the money from him, because he knows he does have the money, and the asshole does have money. who just refuses to pay. But now he's injured him, and now more than likely there will be a warrant out for his arrest. That brings me to the my point in the actual reaction itself, which is I don't think money will solve everyone's problem here, because if it's a case where you're in debt, like Song Yoon is, where money will literally solve all his problems, he would be out of debt, he'd be able to make things right with his mom, his daughter, and so on. But for the characters who have a warrant out for their arrest, Sang-woo, Ali most likely, for the people who are wanted by the law, no amount of money that you acquire will solve that. So my only conclusion would be maybe they've accepted that they'll be arrested, but if they make the money, their families will be made whole, even if they're in jail. But money won't save them. It won't. Could get them a better lawyer, I suppose. Something. And maybe some leniency if they cooperate. But they've been dodging the police, so I don't know about that. So that'll be I'm curious to see how that works out, particularly with Sang-woo and Ali. The girl, I don't remember her name. It wasn't said quite frequently, so bear with me. I'll learn it by the next episode. Because her story is pretty interesting as well. She has a brother who I think is in foster care, and her parents ran off, and I'm not sure why she's trying to find them. I guess perhaps because she's his sister, and maybe they did call her. They referred to her as a kid in the last episode. She doesn't appear to be a kid. She looks to be an adult. So maybe that's where I'm mistaken there. And maybe she's too young to take her, but because I'm thinking if she's his sister, and she's an adult, she doesn't need her parents. I'm sure something can be done where she can take custody of her brother. Of course, I guess she can't prove that she can take care of him, so that's one thing. And the other is, I guess perhaps she's actually still a teenager and not old enough to actually do that. But she has gone back to the games, and she's actually awake in the van. I don't know how much that's going to help her. And it's the same thing with her gangster ex-boss, where he was trying to sneak into the van, or have his friend sneak into the van and rob the guy, but maybe they didn't know that they were on an island for the games, because it's not as simple as fake it until you get there and then rob someone and then leave. You'll have to participate in the game. So, and maybe from her perspective, she just needs to know the way to there. But even then, she still won't, because I don't. In terms of how they may be transporting them to the island, it seems to be. I'm assuming that it's by ship or aircraft. It would most likely be by ship, maybe. But I don't see them just leaving everyone in the open while they're transporting them from point A to point B, because the gas could have worn off, whatever the case might be. So they must put them in some sort of enclosement or another. So her being awake, I don't think that's going to matter or help the situation at all. She may just learn, okay, this is the dock where the ship is at X time. Maybe not. But we'll see how that goes. The old man who conveniently showed up in this episode when Sun Gyun was at his worst to convince him that participating in the game was such a great idea. I still do not trust that old man. I will forever be suspicious of him until shown otherwise. Right? It's just too much of a coincidence. His enjoyment of the games, he's showing up here just in time to run into Sun Gyun. It just all seems too suspicious. So I don't trust him. But something else they did, that's one of the contestants who died, I'm assuming, since he hasn't returned, has a son who's a police officer, and that officer has now taken an interest in the case. He's following the van. Again, I'm not sure how far he'll get, but I think he's a police officer. He may be able to do a bit more than the other players, in that if he sees some guys in masks pulling some bodies out of the van, because they're all unconscious in the van. So, if he sees that happening, that's cause enough for suspicion, So he may be able to do more. But we'll see how that plays out. I don't see him getting all the way to the island. Again, I guess it depends on how far the island is, because someone said that they were gone for days. So it's clearly not too far. It's most likely somewhere nearby. But yeah, it's not going to be easy for him to get there. But it definitely adds an additional layer of complexity to the story, where the people putting on the games, the Squid Games, need to be keeping the police in check. I would not be surprised if they actually have some of the higher authorities on the payroll, because a lot of people are in debt, including police officers and police chiefs and so on. Or some may just do it for greed, not even that they're in debt. So I'm curious to see how far this goes. But the series is definitely going into that area of tackling social inequality that I spoke about earlier and in the video. And so that seems to be one of the themes that we're going to be exploring in this series overall. How these characters came to be in the position that they were in, whether it's by design due to a flawed system, a flawed government, or whether it's by virtue of their bad decisions. Song Gi-hoon so far has proven that it's all his fault. And I don't want to feel as though I'm being too harsh on him, but I'm not seeing any instance where his bad decision isn't what led to his downfall. If I do see where it was it wasn't so much his fault as it is the government or something like that, then I'll admit that. But so far, he's just made some terrible decisions. And on that topic, his mom has diabetes. He went to his ex-wife of all persons, who he apparently has never given child support. He wasn't even there when his child was born, even though he gave some excuse, which I understand. He apparently someone got injured at work and he had to fill in, but this is the birth of your child. Yeah, that's a pretty big thing to actually miss. And even if you're going to miss it, then you need to take responsibility for having missed it. And he still did not pay child support after that. So to go there and ask her for help, I get why he had to do it, because he wants to help his mom. The new husband, I thought he was doing a nice thing, and I guess in part he was, but to suggest that he should stop, he should not be engaged in his daughter's life anymore for just some cash, is a bit, yeah, that's going too far. That's going too far. And the line that Sung Ki-yoon said, if you think money can buy everything, and it's quite ironic that he says this, because from the very first episode, all we've seen him do is try to solve all his problems with money. But it shows that he's seeing the worth of other things. So there's some growth between episode 1 and episode 2. It was quite obvious before to us, but apparently not to him. And honestly, I'm glad he didn't take the money, because I would fear once he got the money, he would go back to the tracks and gamble and lose it all. That's where I am with Song Yoon at the moment. He's not improved in my eyes just yet. But we'll see how far things go. I imagine that for the next episode we'll pick up with another game, for the contestants, and we'll see how many of the 200, a little over 200, I don't remember the number, but how many of the 200 actually returned, if their lives were all that horrible and they all came back to the game. That would be quite hilarious. Sad, but hilarious nonetheless. So, alright guys, be sure to post down below. Let me know what your thoughts are on this episode. Remember to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.